Do you know what I absolutely despise? Being wrong. That's why I'm never wrong when I say or do anything. Do you know what I hate more? Being bored. So now that I've P-ranked both P1 and P2, completed the main story on Brutal, let's start theorizing for no reason. On a serious note, I really don't like theorizing without literally anything to work with. At least with my Encore Theory video, we actually had something to work with, which were the levels themselves. And I just don't think it's really worth my time since, especially what we have during the time of recording, there's just not a lot we can work with. It's not worth theorizing when there's literally nothing to latch onto. At that point, you're really not theorizing, you're just spitballing in the dark. A theory is a structured explanation or model that's built on a foundation of consistent evidence, observation, and reasoning. And without that backbone of evidence, it's not a theory at all. It's just speculation, it's just imagination in my opinion. But again, what I hate more is being bored, so let's try our best to theorize some potential possibilities for the new arm in Fraud. And before you guys say anything, yes, I did see a couple of videos about some potential theories about what the arm could be, but I didn't watch them completely. I did that to make sure my theories weren't tainted by others, so if I copied any of their ideas, it was unintentional and my bad. One more thing. This video will not be keeping into account balancing. I won't be talking about DPS, cooldowns, plausibility, nothing like that. If I do, it won't be a focus. Balancing isn't the point of this video. What I'm trying to do here is look at the evidence we've been given, the trailers, the themes of Fraud, the overall design philosophy of ULTRAKILL, and use that to narrow down what the arm could possibly be. Feel free to assume the cooldowns, how to balance some of my ideas for your own in the comments. I'm not going to do it for the sake of my own sanity. I'm more interested in the concepts and how they will fit with the game's world, style, and mechanics. Okay, right? Now we can get started. While we may not have a lot to work with in terms of new content, I think we can make some sort of definitive conclusion, or the illusion of there being one, given the context of the past levels, specifically with the Feedbacker, Knuckle Blaster, and Whiplash, what all of them do, and where we get them. Both the Knuckle Blaster and Whiplash are the product of V2, the Knuckle Blaster being directly from her and the Whiplash created by her. Yes, I'm using her pronouns for V2, check out this video if you don't know the context. I'm sure everyone here knows what both of these do, but for the sake of the video and the theory, I'm going to break them down. The Knuckle Blaster is a close-range fist weapon that delivers a devastating explosive punch. Its main use is for raw power. It's best used to break through shields from guttermen, create breathing room when surrounded, or just finish off weakened enemies with a single punch. The Whiplash allows you to quickly pull yourself towards bigger enemies, or drag smaller ones directly into most likely a Knuckle Blaster punch, get over here style. Beyond mobility, it's a tool for aggressive gameplay, letting you stay in the fight non-stop by chaining movement and strikes together without losing momentum. But before any of these arms, the only other arm we had was, of course, the Feedbacker is a fast, precision-focused fist weapon built around parrying. Striking enemies or projectiles at the right moment reflects attacks and heals you when successful. And without a doubt, one of the most iconic aspects of this game. But let's boil all of these arms down to its most crucial characteristics: healing and defense, additional DPS, and movement. These characteristics at their core is what adds to the gameplay of ULTRAKILL. And seeing all of these together, I think it's safe to say that the arm we get in Fraud will not do any of these things. All three of these arms already fit a crucial aspect of the game. And more importantly, none of the mechanics they provide interfere with one another. Each arm exists in its own lane. The Feedbacker is the only arm you can parry with. The Knuckle Blaster is the only arm you can do easy damage with really fast. And the Whiplash is the only arm that allows you to move freely with unmatched speed and momentum. A really funny clip that's related to this idea is that clip where Hikita crashes out by the mere idea of adding a shield arm. Let's just play it real quick to solidify it, and because I think it's just hilarious.
Dumb suggestion is people keep asking for like, oh, can you add a arm that's a shield? And it's like, why the fuck would I add a shield when you have a parry? That's just a boring version of a parry. Why would you want the boring version of the game?
Because parrying is hard.
Yeah, well, get good, asshole.
While yes, a shield arm is just an easier parry, another thing that we can conclude from this small crash out is the fact that he thinks adding a mechanic that's already in the game being fucking stupid. Meaning that we can assume that the new arm won't heal, it won't deflect, it won't push away projectiles, it won't be a super DPS attack, provide damage. Overall, it just won't be a mechanic for DPS. It won't be movement based, but I'm going to add a big asterisk here for now, and you'll see why later in the video. It won't be a way to displace yourself or enemies. Again, big asterisk, just hold on for a second, we'll get there. And probably the most tragic, we won't be able to latch onto hook points. Yes, I know. Tragic. My tragic hook points. Tragic hook points, my beloved, but it won't be able to do this. Now, I've been going on about the differences between all three of these arms and how they will never interfere with their respective game mechanics, But let's look at the similarities anyways, because believe it or not, all of these arms share one core similarity: physicality. No matter their function, the Feedbacker's parry, the Knuckle Blaster's raw damage, or the Whiplash's rapid mobility, they all rely on the player interacting with the environment and the enemies in a tangible, hands-on way. Each arm translates your input directly into a physical effect on the world, whether in an explosion in their face, pulling them closer, or deflecting projectiles. That shared feedback creates a consistent gameplay rhythm across all arms. There's also a reason for this. It's because all these arms originated from a robot. The Feedbacker is from V1, the Knuckle Blaster is from V2, as well as the Whiplash, but if you want to get really technical, it's an amalgamation of different robot parts from V2, but I'm getting sidetracked. All these arms interact the way they do because of their mechanical, robotic origins. The way they were created with context with ULTRAKILL's world promotes a physical response both with its gameplay and the arms themselves. Oh yeah, speaking of V2, where is she? Oh, well, there she is. There she goes. Alright, well, V2 is dead. She's gone. She's gone forever. And yes, she's fucking gone. There's nothing left. I made a whole video why she's gone through her fucking music. More importantly, my Doomed Yuri V1 V2 fantasies won't exist unless one of them dies, which is more important. Again, the reason why these arms interact with the game in a more physical manner was because of the machine that provided them in the first place. So with V2 gone, what now? How will this help us with theorizing what the next arm will do? A lot, actually. In fact, it opens an entirely new route that wasn't available without her death. Her death doesn't just remove a source of the arms, it opens up an entirely new path, without her mechanical body enforcing that tangible physical interaction. The next arm doesn't have to be bound by the same constraints of raw physicality. It could instead interact with the game in entirely new ways, affecting the world or enemies indirectly. The next arm could, for instance, manipulate the environment, influence enemies at a distance, or even alter the gameplay physics themselves.
What do we do now? What do you mean? Now we can finally
Start theorizing.
Oh yeah!
There are two routes this video can go, with all my points becoming a reality, proving that I am always right no matter what I say and do, or this video will not, and it will be a giant group hallucination. Okay, this is really why I don't like theorizing like this speculatively, but anyways. Let's recap what we're working with. This new arm won't follow the same blueprint as the others. It won't heal or defend, meaning no parry, no projectile reflection, no built-in recovery. It also won't be designed for raw damage output like the Knuckle Blaster, nor will it provide fast mobility or enemy displacement like the Whiplash. Or in short, it won't recycle mechanics that already exist. No easier parry, no redundancy. Instead, this new arm will likely affect the game in a more indirect way. And I think another thing that supports this idea is the layer of hell we will most likely be getting this new arm in. Fraud. Now, we've all seen the trailers, we've already seen how trippy this layer is going to be, and I think it's a safe bet to assume the new arm will follow that same feeling, manipulating some sort of perception that was originally set in the game until now. And before I start talking about what I think it will be, given the criteria I've made in this video, let me start out with what I think it won't be. Some sort of time stop or like a stun ability of some kind. If I think of any more while I'm making the script, I'll just add it here last minute. While both of these abilities would be really cool, I feel like both of these ideas would mess up the flow and difficulty of the game significantly. ULTRAKILL, at its core, is a game about speed, aggression, and maintaining momentum. The second you stop moving, you're dead. You're gone, you're done. That's why ideas that stop time or stun abilities don't really fit in my opinion. It would break the entire flow that defines the entire game. A deception arm, if it shows up, would have to enhance that rhythm rather than kill it. Instead of halting enemies, it would most likely manipulate how they perceive you or the battlefield, baiting attacks or twisting enemies' focus in ways that would let you stay on the offensive. Hi, as promised, Lemoyne from the future here. Here are some more that I think would be pretty dumb. An invisibility arm to turn off aggro. I think this would be dumb for the same reasons. It would ruin the flow, and is also too mechanically similar to the time stop idea. Something similar to like a tracer blink of some kind, bring you back to a previous location. If you want to go back to a previous location, just use the Whiplash, it's too similar to it. And for the love of God, no! It won't be Gabriel's arm or sword. I have no clue who started this theory, but it's fucking dumb, okay? You can clip me, I don't fucking care. It might be because I'm 60% faded when I'm recording these videos, but I'm gonna go off script real quick. Some have speculated that either the sword or just his arm will be the new arm we get. And I cannot even start with how dumb it is. Oh wait, I already started! Down the rabbit hole we go! It can't be his sword. We already have a melee attack in the game. Oh, what is it you ask? Oh, but it would do more damage, and I don't know, maybe it'd be like a cooldown for a big attack. 1, go fuck yourself. And 2, if you wanted a high damage attack with a cooldown, Here you go! Oh, but the melee attack would deal more damage! And with that, I would like to refer you to point number 1 and this timestamp. The only good, and I'm saying this with the biggest quotation marks I can, the only good thing that supports this is the fact that Act 3 is called God Fist Suicide. And the premise of this is like killing Gabriel with his own arm, and that's why the title is like that, and oh my god. Let me break this down for you in the most simplest way possible. It's not suicide if the person committing it is another fucking person! The name of Act 3 is talking about Gabriel. Gabriel, for his entire life, has been the fist of God for basically the entire story of ULTRAKILL, until V1, obviously. The term God Fist is referring to Gabriel, not his actual fucking fist. And side is referring to this! It's referring to doing this, knowing he will die in the process. What is that called? Fucking suicide! If V1 killed Gabriel with his own fist, it wouldn't be self-inflicted, it would just be homicide. Fucking murder. Bop on bop violence. This game has been out for 5 fucking years. Please stop twisting this into some overcomplicated theory that ignores literal context. Just read what it says and move the fuck on. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I have a headache. I gotta stop. Alright, cool. I need to get that off my chest. Moving on. Now that we got all of that out of the way, let's get started on what I think it could be. Again, we already have defense, DPS, and movement. I think this is the perfect time to add another one to this, which I'm going to call manipulation and control, whether it be of an entity, a certain area, or even of the level itself. Let's start with an easy one. The ability to change the perception and interactions of enemies. One that I think would be really cool and won't mess up the flow of the gameplay would be the ability to manipulate hostility, or the ability to control an enemy entirely. All you would have to do is select an enemy and you'd be able to control it for a certain amount of time. One idea that quickly comes to mind is Loki from Marvel Rivals. In the game, he has the ability to make a clone, and that clone will aim and shoot at whatever you're looking at. Again, I'm not going to be talking about balancing or cooldowns, nothing like that, just come to your own conclusions, but I think the second one would be really cool. The idea of enemies being hostile with other enemies isn't the first time we've seen this. The first time we've seen it was actually in the violence layer, so it'd be pretty cool to implement that same idea, but just have control over it. This can take shape in the form of simply pointing at an enemy and being on your side for a quick moment, or with what I think is even cooler, an AoE blast around V1. Quickly making the enemies around you target each other. This could be for a couple of seconds or even just one attack, which would already give you a lot of breathing room. The manipulation and control of entities doesn't also have to be specifically to enemies. It can also affect V1 as well. One that would be really interesting to see is a body split or a body double. At a click of a button or a snap of your new arm in this case, would split V1 into 2. This body double would mirror your movements, but most importantly your attacks. The person that inspired this idea is Mirage from Apex, and this art for the Wrath Layer album. I think it would make sense that enemies would be hostile to the things closest to it, whether it be you or the body double. It would also be understandable if this body double didn't have the ability to heal, and even lack iframes when dashing to increase the risk-reward ratio. And if you really want to worry about balancing, maybe you can also, like, I don't know, half your current health, but again, I don't really care about all that. Actually, let's build on this idea a little bit more. Instead of a mirror double, it could also be in the form of an after image, copying your exact attacks and movements from a couple of seconds ago. You've already seen how entity-focused manipulation could play out, but control doesn't have to stop at enemies or clones. It could also extend to entire areas of the battlefield, or even the layer itself. One aspect of fraud that I'm sure everyone has noticed is the wacky gravity and perspective changing areas that will happen in this layer, and maybe the arm will mirror that behavior. With the snap of your new arm could either change the gravity of V1, an enemy, or even the room itself. This can be in the form of just changing your gravity altogether, and even flipping the room entirely. But honestly, I think this gravity changing arm idea would be less likely to happen given 2 things. Now, I'm not a coder, but I know for a fact an ability that would mess up the physics of a certain room would mess up a lot of the layers to the point of just straight up being unplayable. There are just too many errors that can occur. Another thing is this. How would it work in the cyber grind? Let me show you an example. Oh man, level 50 of the cyber grind. I'm in a bit of a pickle, better change my gravity for an easy escape. Whee! It just wouldn't work. It would be really cool, but probably wouldn't happen. One that I think would be more plausible and also takes direct inspiration from the trailers is a perspective arm. With it would change the distance between you and enemies, stretching or shrinking distances so enemies end up way closer or farther. The only reason I'm on the fence with this one is because we already have something that changes the distance between enemies and yourself. And I'm not sure how it would be different, but it's still plausible. Actually, wait, hold on. I like where my head's going. Let me build on that real quick. You know that game Superliminal, where like, you know, the size of things change depending on the distance and perspective you look at an object? How about instead of bringing an enemy closer or far away from you, it could instead simply just make them bigger or smaller, with both of them having their pros and cons. Making enemy bigger, their hitbox gets bigger, but it also increases the size of their attacks. Make them smaller, they're harder to hit, but significantly weaker. It adds a new mechanic to the game, doesn't mess with the flow, and you could still use this on the cyber grind. Damn, I actually really like the idea. Okay, sorry for self-glazing. I'm moving on. Another one that can manipulate the area around you is a time slow. Now, I know I said time stop would be stupid, and I still believe that, but instead of stopping time altogether, would instead slow things down enough where you can get out of danger and deal more damage. It doesn't have to affect the entire room either. It could simply just be an AoE effect around you, only slowing enemies' attacks and projectiles given a certain radius. Alright, how long has this script been now? Jesus, yeah, no, I'm done. I've used enough brain power on what's been essentially spitballing and yapping. If you have any other theories on what the arm could be, please feel free to share in the comments, but I'll warn you right now, I already hated working on this script since I basically had to scrape for any evidence I had, and some of the theories I've heard out there felt like throwing darts in the dark. At least I tried coming up with supporting evidence, unlike some arm theories. I'm looking at you! So be warned, if you are passionate about your theory, be prepared to defend it. I have nothing else to do aside from Jim, Goon, and GPA. The big 3 Gs. Well, 4 if you're not counting yours truly. Wow, okay. I don't have an outro. Okay, bye!